Hi, welcome everyone. My name is Destry Boscos. I'm a consultant to SANDAG. I want to welcome you to today's webinar on helping your employees save with the commuter tax benefit and discounted transit passes. We'll wait a couple more minutes to have people log on and we will continue. While we're waiting for folks to continue to log on, let's go ahead and do a poll question for the audience that is present right now. How familiar are you with the commuter tax benefit? Very familiar, somewhat familiar, or not familiar? Please feel free to select an answer. Again, if you're joining us right now, please feel free to answer the question that is shown on the screen. How familiar are you with the commuter tax benefit? Very familiar, somewhat familiar, or not familiar? Thank you, everyone, for participating in this quick poll. Looks like we have 33% not familiar, 52% somewhat familiar, and 15% familiar. So that's wonderful. All different types of levels. We do have a presenter today who will be talking about commuter benefits. So again, if you have questions, feel free to ask them during the webinar. Hi, everyone. My name is Destry Boscos, and I am a consultant to SANDAG. Welcome to today's webinar on helping employees save with commuter tax benefit and discount transit passes. Thank you again for doing those polls. We'll have an opportunity to ask more questions throughout the presentations. I really want to make sure we have everything running smoothly. So I just want to go over a couple of housekeeping notes before we get formally started. You'll see on the right hand of your screen a box that you can type in your questions. As we're going through the presentations, if a question pops up in your mind, please feel free to use that question box and we'll address the questions at the end as time has allotted. And then we are also recording today's webinar. So that way you have a chance to rewatch it and also share it with your colleagues and coworkers. So today's agenda is pretty jam-packed with a lot of information that I hope you'll find very useful. We will be going over SANDAG updates with Eva Sanchez, who's a regional planner at SANDAG. We'll also be going through commuter tax benefits and what it is and the basic information about it with Jackie Maley from Ed and Red. Stacy Bishop is here also today from MTS to talk about the Pronto Partners Plus Program. And we also have Tom Harrington from Intuit, who will be providing insight on how their organization has been offering enticing savings for their employees, as well as saving on their payroll taxes. And then I'll conclude the information portion of the webinar with an overview of the iCommute Employer Program. So without further ado, let me welcome to the webinar stage SANDAG Regional Planner Eva Sanchez. Good morning, Eva.
Good morning. Thank you, Destry. My name is Eva Sanchez, and I'm a regional planner at SANDAG, working in the mobility division. So before we jump into the discussion on commuter benefits, I'd like to highlight a few priority projects and regional initiatives that we're working on here at SANDAG as the regional planning agency to improve transportation in our region. Starting with Get Connected. The Get Connected program serves as a roadmap to close the digital divide and ensure everyone has equal access to the internet and all the education, economic, and social opportunities available through a reliable, affordable internet connection. As we all know, internet connectivity has become an essential part of everyday life for people in the San Diego region, and it's also a critical component of the transportation system. So SANDAG is partnering with 211 San Diego, the County of San Diego, and City of San Diego to ensure everyone in our community has equal access to the internet. To learn more and help us share information about the program, visit getconnected.sandag.org. Next slide, please. Another major and long-awaited project for our region is the Central Mobility Hub. The Central Mobility Hub project will provide fast and convenient regional transit connections to the San Diego International Airport and construct the Central Mobility Hub, which will be a new multimodal transit center in downtown San Diego. This project aims to increase transit ridership, reduce traffic, and advance climate action goals, in addition to boosting economic development in the region's urban core by supporting new opportunities for housing and revitalized public space. Next slide, please. Today, Mexico is California's #1 trading partner, fueling commerce and economic opportunity throughout the San Diego, Baja California binational region. The State Route 11 Otay Mesa East Port of Entry project is a joint effort between Caltrans and SANDAG in collaboration with state and federal partners in the US and Mexico to create an innovative new land port of entry that will enhance regional mobility, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, fuel economic growth, and bolster binational trade. These improvements will provide a direct connection to the new port of entry, helping to enable fast, predictable, and secure border crossings. Construction is currently underway on roadway infrastructure to support the Otay Mesa East Port of Entry and CHP Commercial Vehicle Enforcement Facility. Next slide, please. And last but not least is our work to stabilize the Mar Bluffs. The Los Angeles, San Diego, San Luis Obispo rail corridor, known as the LOSSAN corridor, is a critical component of our regional economy and national defense. But portions of the LOSSAN corridor along the Mar Bluffs have started to collapse due to erosion. So SANDAG has partnered with the North County Transit District, Caltrans, and the City of Del Mar to stabilize the collapse area by installing support columns, slope repairs, drainage improvements, and a seawall. We've completed 4 phases of the project already, and the next step to stabilize the Del Mar Bluffs is phase 5, which is slated to begin in 2023. So we'll continue to move as quickly as possible to stabilize the bluffs until we can move the tracks inland. So that concludes my project updates for today, but I want to thank everyone for having me. If you have any questions for me, my contact information is on the contact slide. So with that, I will hand it off to Destry.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for those updates, Eva. Now I'd like to introduce you to Jackie Maley, who is the Product Sales Manager at Edenred. She will give you some information on how you can take advantage of the commuter tax benefits. Hi, Jackie.
Hey there, thank you so much for having me today. My name is Jackie Maley, and I've been a part of the Edenred team for almost 10 years now, helping employers provide these types of commuter benefits to their employees. And commuter benefits, just so everyone is aware, is a way for employees to set aside pre-tax funding from their paycheck to go towards their transportation expenses. It can be used for things like Pronto regional passes with MTS. If you have employees that are van pooling to get to and from work, or even paying for parking, they can set aside pre-tax monies on a monthly basis to pay for those type of expenses. And at least my organization, we help companies provide this type of benefit to their employees. So from the employer's perspective, with this type of benefit, you are also saving money by offering pre-tax commuter benefits. You're saving roughly 7.65% on your payroll taxes for every employee that sets aside pre-tax monies to go towards their transit, van pool, or parking expenses. So not only do employers save money when they offer these types of programs, your employees are also saving money because they are also not paying taxes on the money that they set aside for these types of expenses. So on average, employees can save on average about $700 a year for something that they're probably already spending money on. And then as well, these types of commuter benefits are always great for the environment, always helping to get single occupancy vehicles off the road, maybe doing carpooling, van pooling, or actually taking public transit. So just from the Eden Red perspective, we partner with transit authorities nationwide and in San Diego to provide transit passes, the products directly to employees, so that way they can utilize their pre-tax monies through these services. You can go ahead to the next slide, please. So again, these types of programs, it is an IRS limit that employees can take. So employees can take up to $280 per month to go towards their public transit expenses. And for public transit, it is things like trains, buses, subways, ferries, van pool, 6 or more people traveling together in a vehicle is also available under this benefit. Same thing for parking too. If you have employees that are parking at a train station before hopping on the train to get to the office, they can set aside pre-tax money to pay for those parking expenses. So at least on the Eden Red side of things, if we have employers that partner with us, what will happen is you'll give us essentially your list of employees, their names, and for instance, their home addresses. And what we do is we take their zip codes and we show them all the available transit, van pooling, or parking products that are available for your employees to sign up on. And then we work to make sure they actually get those passes and they can actually utilize them for their commute. So you can go ahead to that next slide, please. And on the next slide here, we actually have a quick video that's going to outline some of the different savings employers and employees can see. And just please note that if you have audio issues, please do not fret. We are going to share the link to the video after today's call, but the video itself is about a minute long, so I hope you can hear this. We'll go ahead and press play now.
Are you looking to add pre-tax commuter benefits to your benefits package? And want to know how much you'll save? We'll break it down for you. Let's say you have an employee enrolled in Commuter Benefits who spends the maximum tax limit allowed by the IRS. They spend $270 a month on parking at the nearest train station and $270 a month on an MTA train pass to New York City. As the employer, you could save $41 a month in payroll taxes. Now, let's imagine you have 10 employees in the same situation. Your savings would go up to $413 a month, or $4,900 per year. The more employees participating, the more you save. Also, your employees save money as they use pre-tax dollars towards their commuting costs. Sign up today so you can start enjoying the savings and convenience of Commuter Benefits.
Thank you for playing that video. I hope everyone was able to hear it. But But yeah, just going back to the main premise of these types of benefits and programs really help employees if they are commuting via public transit, again, paying for parking expenses. Same thing from the employer's perspective. You are also saving money because you are not paying any FICA taxes for the funding that is set aside. So these types of programs and benefits really are a win-win for employers and employees. It really is helpful, I think, during these times where everything is crazy expensive, and being able to help your employees save some funding is definitely going to help them as maybe they start their commute again, or maybe they've been commuting this entire time. And that's what I have for my portion of the presentation. Thank you all again for having me today.
Thank you so much, Jackie. I do have a question that has come up in the chat box for you before we go to the next presenter. The question is, can pre-tax amounts that are set aside be rolled over, or what happens to them if they are not used?
That is a great question. And oftentimes we hear from groups relating these types of commuter benefit programs to an FSA, where FSAs, you can set aside monies to pay for medical expenses, for example. But at the end of the year with an FSA, the funding does not roll over. It typically, you will use it or you lose it. And the great thing with these types of commuter benefits is it is not a use it or lose it program. Open enrollment can take place at any point in time. So if an employee enrolls in these types of programs and they set aside their pre-tax money, at the end of the month, whatever they don't use continues to carry over. Same thing for at the end of the year. So they still have that ability to access and utilize those funds.
Wonderful, that's great news. Thanks, Jackie. Now I'd like to introduce Stacy Bishop. She's the Manager of Marketing Communications at MTS. Stacy will be speaking about how you as an employer can offer discounted MTS passes to employees. Hi, Stacy.
Hi, Destry. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Excited to be here with you all today. As mentioned, my name is Stacy Bishop, and I am with the MTS Marketing and Communications team. And one of the questions we inevitably get a ton as we're doing outreach to employers or to employees is, are there discounts? Can we get discounts? And so the short answer is yes. We do have a discount pass program available to employers, which is what I'll spend time talking about today. And so to get started, I just wanted to set the stage that MTS actually has two separate employer programs or institutional programs. There are some overlap between them and some differences. And so to start, what is the same between these two programs is that there is some administrative need from your team. So if you haven't heard, Pronto is the new way to pay for transit. It's the official fare system for both MTS and North County Transit District. And so we have what's called a Pronto portal that anyone who participates in one of our past programs gets an account and does their employee and pass management through that portal. So I just set the stage that to be aware that there is an administrative need from your team. People cannot go directly to MTS to get discounted passes or employee passes. Both programs would be eligible for pre-tax benefits. So employees, like we mentioned, have to pay for the passes through you. You collect the funds and we collect the funds from your organization. So both programs would be eligible for pre-tax benefits. But where they start to differ is that our Pronto Partners program is not a discounted program. If you want a discount, you would have to participate Pronto Partners Plus Program. And you know, alliteration is always a great idea when you're naming these things and then you have to say it out loud and it gets a little tricky. But so our Partners Plus program does offer discounts from 10 to 25% based on annual enrollment, but it does require a 1-year commitment from the organization, and there is a prepayment requirement, which we'll go over in more detail next. The Pronto Partners, while there's no discount, there's no minimum enrollment required by the partner, and you pay monthly. There's no prepayment. So that's the big difference between the two, is that if you want the discount, you do have to prepay and meet minimum enrollment requirements. So moving on, we'll just give you a quick high-level overview of how the Partners Plus program works. And so you must have a minimum of 25 employees on average throughout the course of the year to initiate that discount benefit. The way it works is we'll work with you to get a contract signed up. You submit an annual order form, and then we use that to invoice you for the passes. So how that works is you would purchase, let's say you just wanted to get in at the entry level use, 25 passes at the 10% discounted rate for a full 12 months. So the minimum buy-in for people to participate in this program is just under $20,000 there, which you can see on the screen. And then really, once you're enrolled, like I mentioned, the admin function of your team is to then import users into your Pronto portal and push passes to those employees who are participating in the program. And certainly, while I can't go into all this detail in this call today, you know, we work very closely, our Pronto support team, my team works with you to get that portal process set up, do training, so you're not on your own there. So that's kind of the high level look at how the process works generally. And so the next thing to cover is the discounts. So discounts are based on your enrollment levels. So like we mentioned earlier, 25 passes a month is the minimum, and you'll receive a 10% discount up to 100 employees a month. Once you go over 100 employees a month, the discount increases to a 20% discount. And then if you have over 400 employees a month who participate, the maximum discount at this time is 25%. I do want to mention that this discount program is only valid for MTS services. So we have two different passes. The regional pass, which is $72 a month, that covers all of our trolley routes, local bus routes, and rapid routes. And then we have the regional premium monthly pass, which also includes our rapid express services. And that is really only useful typically for employers in the downtown area, because our rapid express routes run express from the I-15 corridor into downtown San Diego. So if you're not a downtown employer, that premium pass is likely not going to be useful for employees. But so we just say that those pass products do include coverage of NCTD's Sprinter and Breeze, but the Coaster is not included. So the Coaster is not an MTS product, so it is not included in this discount program, just to make that clear. And so we know that the prepayment can be a big hurdle, especially if you've never offered a discount pass program before, which is why we do offer a pilot program for employers who are interested in participating in the Pronto Plus program. And so that is a 3-month trial. We recommend that you do full calendar months. The Pronto passes are valid from the first day of the month through the last day of the month. So in order for employees and for you to get the best value of it, we recommend you do the pilot 3 full calendar months instead of starting a mid-month. The minimum pass quantities and pre-purchase does still apply. So for example, if you wanted to participate, you would have to purchase 25 passes at the 10% discounted rate for 3 months, which is just under $5,000. So that can be helpful if you're just trying to get started and get employees signed on or see what the interest is. The pilot is a much lower entry point for companies to see if it'll work, and we'll obviously work with you to gauge interest. So we'll help, you know, create a survey, an enrollment form, we'll provide marketing materials, we can do a training to your team to talk about it, and we'll really work with you to help get people onboarded. And then we do just need to decide by the 10th of the last month of your pilot program if you're going to be continuing with the extension. So we say 2 to 3 weeks here, but more time is better. We do have to get a contract and an invoice out to you and get that paid before we can start. So if you're hoping to start July 1st, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's too late. But certainly if you were interested in getting started for August, we could get that conversation going now. So the pilot program is a great option for people who have never participated in our Pronto Partners Plus program and would like to give it a try. I tried to think of some questions that come up. You know, the pilot program is one, obviously, but we do have a few frequently asked questions here, I think on the next slide, that we commonly get. And obviously, if you are prepaying, it's not an exact science most of the time. What happens if you use more or less passes than you anticipated? And so if you end up saying, hey, we're going to purchase 25 passes, but let's say program demand is higher, which is great, and you end up having 40 people a month participating, what we'll do is we'll just issue you a new invoice as you start to draw down on your balance and get close to hitting that entry. We'll just issue you a new invoice for the projected overage through the rest of the fiscal year. Now, let's say you didn't have as many employees. You thought you were going to have 50 employees a month and you only ended up having 40. That money does not expire. It will roll over if you continue in the program. It'll just roll over and you can use that as a credit for your next fiscal year's enrollment and participation. If it turns out that you cannot, like let's say the pilot program, you don't end up getting enough people and you have a balance, we will not issue you a refund, but you can use that balance to give employees, let's say you switch over to the Pronto Partners account and you end up just doing the non-discounted pass program, we can switch that balance over again as a credit for you. Another question we get is obviously, you know, many companies have senior employees. There are discounted rates for seniors or people who qualify under our senior disabled Medicare pass. What about those passes? So we do not offer a discount on already discounted passes. It's $23 a month, so it's a pretty good deal. But you can purchase and push those passes to those employees if you wanted to give them a pre-tax benefit. So we would just add that pass to your Pronto portal. You could push it to them, but there's no discount for them beyond the $23 a month. And one that we've been getting more frequently, one of the benefits when we switch to Pronto is it's fare capping and pay as you go. So individuals can just add cash to their card and pay as they need it. And so we sometimes get questions from employers of, hey, I just want to provide $25 a month to my employees. Can I do that? And unfortunately, with our pass programs, you cannot. These are only for monthly pass products. There's no cash value. So you cannot add money through Pronto Partners or Pronto Partners Plus. There is a way that through an individual account, you could order some cards with cash value on it for a smaller quantity, but typically it's not a great solution for employers that are looking to offer the benefit to a wider number of people. So that's just kind of a high level overview. Like I mentioned there, I'm sure there are a lot of questions. There's a lot of variation in the way that our employers issue this program and the Partners Plus program to their employees. And so we're happy to have that conversation with you if you're interested to talk about what that could look like. So my information is here. It will be on the closing screen as well, but please reach out if you're interested in learning more. I'd love to talk to you. And like I said, we'll help you if you're interested in enrolling, engaging employee interest, getting the messaging out to employees. We can get you started with a pilot program if that's what you'd like to do. And then from there, we can work on setting up an account and getting training, and then also we'll support you as you get started pushing those passes to partners. So thanks so much for having me, and hopefully we'll get more of you signed on.
Thanks so much, Stacy. We do have some questions coming in. Let's try to address one before I hand it over to the next presenter. In speaking about that pilot program, how long of an extension can you get?
Oh, great question. So that's a great clarification. So The pilot is a one-time pilot for 3 months. So once you do the 3-month pilot, you can't kind of keep doing pilots in 3-month chunks. The way the Partners Plus program works is that it's based on fiscal year enrollment. So let's say you started in August and you did August, September, October for your pilot, and then you wanted to enroll. The extension would be from November through June 30th, or let's say you signed up for the program in mid-June. It's through the end of that fiscal year, June 30th.
Thanks, Stacey. We do have more questions, and I appreciate all the questions that are coming through. We'll address more towards the end of the presentations. Thanks, Stacey. Next up to our webinar stage is Tom Harrington, Global Commute Solutions Leader at Intuit. Tom is here to share commuter benefits that Intuit is currently offering their employees, as well as how it is working for them. Hi, Tom. Great to have you here.
Hi, Destry. Many thanks. If you want to switch to the next slide, tell you a little bit about Intuit. We've been around since 1983. We've got 14,000 employees in 21 locations across the globe, $9.5 billion in revenue, and 106 million customers. We have a mission statement of powering prosperity around the world. That's another tongue twister, like the Pronto Pass program. Pronto Pass Plus. Let me get it right. Pronto Partners Plus. Sorry, Stacey. It is a tongue twister. I'll go with that. But we do have a mission of powering prosperity around the world, and most of our decisions are based on our company's core values. You can see the 5 core values at the bottom of this slide. One of the things that's unique about Intuit is our leaders truly walk the walk and talk the talk when it comes to the core values. So if you want to skip on to the next slide, it's a little bit about what the commute looks like in the hybrid and what we're competing with. So really we're competing with the couch at home, a nice cozy place to be, versus the commute. And the commute can be on a freeway, and the commute can be on a crowded freeway. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to take as much pain out of that commute to make it easy for folks to come into the office. So for instance, offering a benefit that allows folks to come in and pay for part of that or save the taxes on that. And that's part of the reason why we offer transit benefits. And if you want to go on to the next slide, I'll get in a little more detail about the what are the benefits on the slide after this, but everything that you look at Intuit starts with, why are we doing this? And if you look at this slide, we're looking at delivering a global view of the right commute options in support of talent attraction, delighting our employees, and reducing carbon. We have mission statements that relate to our commute program. So delivering awesome workplaces and programs to enable people to do the best work of their lives, and environments that attract and retain top talent are things that we want to provide. We provide our programs on a set of guiding principles where we study local best practices. We encourage public transportation. We encourage ride sharing. We encourage bike riding and bike sharing. We don't invest in public parking or subsidies beyond what's included in our portfolio, and we encourage the use of electric vehicles. How do we do that all? We do that based on a strategy of providing an infrastructure for our offerings, an infrastructure that's tailored, that's right for our specific site, for the talent that's there. And finally, we target our marketing to make it so that it's attractive and hard not to use. It's hard to walk away from. If you want to move on to the next slide, this is really the meat and potatoes of this. So we first started offering our pre-tax benefits in 2008, and that was a $75 subsidy that Intuit paid. Of course, we allowed up to the IRS maximum for pre-tax benefits, but we actually pay $75 towards your parking or towards your transit. In 2016, we changed Commute Benefit Fulfillment Partners. We moved over to the Edenred platform. You heard from Jackie earlier. In 2017, we increased our subsidy from $75 to $100. long time there, and then all of a sudden in 2018 we increased it again by 50% from $100 to $150 a month. Why did we make such a big jump, and why did we do it so quickly? A lot of our the biggest part of our base, our employee base, is at our Mountain View headquarters, and we received some feedback at our Mountain View headquarters from employees that they felt that our commute programs, including the shuttles that we were offering, should be free. So I was getting pressure from my leadership to offer a free program, and I said, wait a minute, instead of offering a free program, let's offer a program that's based on transit subsidies that is effectively free to employees in Mountain View, but has a benefit for people everywhere. Like, for instance, if people are living in Orange County and working in San Diego, increasing that subsidy to 150 really helps out if you want to take the surf liner to come on down to get to work. And we have a lot of people that actually do that. Why would Intuit want to do this? Well, I mentioned attracting and retaining talent. We want to make sure that we're doing what our peers are doing, and we're in the top quartile when we compare ourselves to our peer benchmarks. Local ordinances like Rule 2202 in LA County, Ordinance 1603 in Santa Monica. In the Bay Area, we also have a requirement too as well. FICA savings. So you heard Jackie talk about that 7.65% savings. Well, 6.2 of that is FICA savings, and the rest is Medicare savings. But they're savings for us when we're actually looking at calculating our payroll taxes. And then, of course, for transportation demand management, there are some savings through scale on programs that we could offer if we offer it to more people. It's actually similar to what Jackie mentioned on the Pronto Partner Plus, where Pronto Partner Plus, sorry, Presto is offered in Toronto, and it's been on my mind lately, so I apologize for that. Anyway, you saw that based on the number of people you have, you can get a bigger discount. So why would an employee want to do this? Well, there's the pure savings of sharing a ride. There's also the 150 that's available to the employee. Have you taken a look at gas prices recently? I know realistically we're probably looking at more like $6 to $7 a gallon, but there actually was a station in Northern California that was in the news in the last couple of weeks that was actually selling gas for $9 a gallon. I mentioned the FICA savings. That 6.2% is paid for by the employee as well. Convenience. You want to make it easy for folks to get their passes. One of the things that Edenred does for us is they make options easy. You can put parking and transit together on the same debit card that you can use. Now, they're separate pots, and I may get into a little bit about, there's a flex piece of that I may talk about that employers can option into as part of the Q&A. But anyway, it's convenient. It's easy to use. It's easy to order once you get it set up. Greenhouse gases are another reason why. People want to reduce the carbon from their commute. And more efficient travel. And this one's really a big one. You've got commute lanes on I-15. You've got 9 new miles of commute lanes, carpool lanes that opened up just this year on I-5 up in the North County. And I'll tell you, I ride a bus on occasion, and it's great going down that HOV line, and you just look out the window and you see all these cars that are either dead stopped or moving very slowly, and you're just passing them right on by. It's really a great thing. So let's move on to my final slide. My final slide talks about where we actually have parking and commuter benefit participation, and it breaks it down. And I intentionally went back to get a full year of data before the pandemic. One of the things you can see that we were on a rising trend here, and then we hit the winter months, and there's always a lull in the winter months when you start talking about transit benefits. And things started to tail off a little before the pandemic, but really kind of plateaued during the pandemic. One of the things about Intuit was we didn't require our employees to disengage from receiving the benefit. We allowed them to continue on with the benefit, even though most of our sites were closed. as you can see, around March, things started picking up. Now, when you look at this, you see, yeah, there was a big increase in the parking piece. That was because of an acquisition. We acquired MailChimp, and MailChimp has some specific parking needs in Atlanta, and that's what's driving the increase here for parking. But if you look, and you look at this transit, the green bars that are down here, that's taking off as well. So that's going through. And I want to thank you for your time, and that's really all I have prepared.
Thanks, Tom, for sharing all your insights about your program. It's great to see, the evolution of it through time. We do have a question that came through the chat for you. What happens if an employee wants to pay for parking when they arrive at a train station or transit stop?
Yeah, there's really two ways to address that. So number one is when you're ordering your commuter benefits through the Edenred portal, you can order both parking and transit benefits separately. So an employee could choose to have $120 in transit benefits added to their debit card and have another $30 that's subsidized. And I'm only talking, and we do see most of our employees using only the subsidy, to be quite honest with you, but there are others that need more and go up to the $280 benefit, and have another $30 that's earmarked for parking. So that literally what you can do is you can buy your train or bus pass, and then you can pay for parking at the station. There's also something else, and this is where I was alluding that I might get into it. Edenred also has something available for employers to opt into, which is called Flex. And the IRS is allowing up to 1 month of benefits that are carried forward to be used, if they're intended for transit, to be used for parking. If they're intended for parking, to be used for transit. So you can use that same debit card at a kiosk to actually purchase your daily parking too as well. So
Wonderful. Thanks, Tom. All right, I'd like to launch one last poll before we get on to the iCommute portion. Which commuter benefits is your organization most likely to utilize? Pre-tax benefits, transit passes, carpool incentive, bike education classes, or all of the above? Please make your selection. Thank you. It looks like we have actually a really great mix with pre-tax benefits, transit passes, and even all of the above, pretty close in percentage-wise. Thanks all for that. I'd like to take the next couple minutes just to quickly talk about SANDAG's iCommute Employer Services Program. In addition to those wonderful pre-tax benefits and discounted transit passes that you've heard today, you can also participate in iCommute. iCommute offers commuter resources for all the other types of modes that your employees might be interested in taking to work. The iCommute works with you to gather survey data about your employees' current commutes, interest in trying something new, and the motivations and challenges associated with trying that alternative commute. From there, we use that data to help you prioritize which modes to promote in a trip reduction plan. And we really plan out a year's worth of promotion through events like carpool and vanpool formation events, or even bicycle classes if there's an interest in biking and commuting to work. Next slide, please. Depending on your level of participation, both on your employer side and your participation in iCommute, we would definitely want to recognize all your efforts, being done to help reduce congestion and greenhouse gas emissions amongst the whole entire region. So we do celebrate all of your efforts in an annual Diamond Awards event. And that's a really fun one that you can see at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen of all the different employers that were recognized for Diamond Awards. So if you're interested in participating in iCommute, if you're not doing so already, please contact our iCommute team. So now that brings us to the conclusion of all our informational slides and to the Q&A portion. Again, just a reminder, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in that question box on the right hand of your screen. And then also a reminder that if you would like to be contacted by iCommute representative, please note that in the question box and provide your contact information. And then also this recording will be emailed to you tomorrow for your reference. Okay, so let me check the questions that I have here coming through. I have one, let's see. I believe this one will be for Jackie. Can an employer adjust, or can an employee adjust their contribution amount at any time?
Yes, they definitely can. If you're utilizing our services, employees can log into their account, access through our mobile app, and update and change their amount at any time. There is a cutoff date that we need just to know what their order is for that next benefit month, but employees can come in and make changes and updates as frequently or infrequently as they need to.
Thank you. Another one, I commute by bike. What kind of benefits can cyclists be a part of by joining a commuter tax benefit program? I believe that's also for you, Jackie.
Yeah, so bicycle piece has kind of been a challenge because they removed back in 2018, there was a segment of this benefit that allowed for subsidies to go towards bicycles, towards the repair, purchase, and maintenance of bicycles. And since the tax reform of 2018, the bicycle segment has kind of disappeared. It's now a taxable benefit, so it's not such a great benefit as it was once before, but I know that there is a lot of legislature in our Congress and Senate right now to allow for the bicycle aspect to be pre-tax as well. Hasn't come through to fruition just yet, but we are definitely keeping an eye on the legislature and definitely hope that one day the bicycle segment will be a pre-tax component.
Thank you.
If I can add to that one a little bit, it's actually only been suspended, and it's been suspended until 2025. So it's coming back, and I'll tell you, I'm making plans to actually include that as part of my benefits. And right now I'm setting myself up to be positioned for what current legislation looks like is going to be about an $80 a month benefit and allow folks to use both transit, parking, and biking benefits. So I guess the best answer to that is keep an eye on your congressman and your senator and make sure that they're backing that bill.
Wonderful, great information. Just maybe in addition to that, in the interim, iCommute does offer, support for those who are interested in biking through bike classes, bike maintenance, and bike safety checks. So there are at least other related commuter resources that will help to, encourage employees to bike a little bit more as a commute. I have a question here, and I believe this will be probably for Stacy. The question is, this is good information, but this does not cover the federal tip benefit program. Pronto credit balances are not authorized. Can the balances be reverted back to the credit card used to load the Pronto card?
Yeah, so the tip program that is offered by, I'm most familiar with the Navy, doesn't actually apply for the Pronto Partners Plus Program or the Pronto Partners Program, which is what we alluded to, because the tip program is cash that's provided to an individual user's card, which then they go and purchase the pass on their own. So that's totally separate from the Pronto Partners and Pronto Partners Plus account. So the way that it works between Pronto and TIP is if you use your card to load a Pronto card with cash or with the pass, cash loaded onto Pronto stays on there until it expires. However, there's no refund. So once money is added to the Pronto card, you can't transfer it back to your tip card. However, let's say you didn't use it 1 month, it'll just stay on there for the following month. I think if you have other questions about the tip capabilities, it's probably best to go to your tip manager for specific questions, and then they can work with our Pronto support team if there's additional kind of nuanced questions about that.
Wonderful, thank you, Stacy. And that brings us like another great suggestion of maybe having a federal version of these kind of benefits. So thank you for that question that came through. For Tom, what is some feedback you've heard from employees about the pre-tax benefit or any of your commuter benefits?
Yeah, I'll tell you the biggest one is how come I can't use it on Uber and Lyft? That's the biggest one. And the real reason for that is if you go to the IRS code for pre-tax benefits, it's not allowed. Lyft pool, no. There's a new service called Uber Share, and Lyft Share is the old one, is allowable to use your debit card for transit as long as the vehicle has at least 7 belts in it, and they're making it available. One of the challenges with Lyft Share is unless they've changed the program, they're still limiting it to only 2 riders. So Lyft Share so far has not been actually accepting the debit card since we've come back from the pandemic. And I haven't tried Uber Share yet. I've asked some folks to actually let me know if they're able to use their debit card to actually use that. Folks love the fact that you can use your transit benefits anywhere that accepts the transit benefit. There is some feedback saying they wish it was more. I'll give you that too as well. One of the things I'd love to see is I'd love to see us increase the Intuit subsidy all the way up to the $280 federal limit per month. But that's going to be a little ways for me to fight that battle.
Thanks, Tom. We have a question here. What is the status of the subsidies for van pool incentives? Maybe that's Jackie's question.
I'll take a stab at it, but I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be the best person to speak on it. Just because as far as subsidies go, at least with Eden Red and how we operate, we're going to work with the employer to set the different subsidies or different subsidy limits you're looking to provide. And we can even get as granular as if you only want to provide subsidies for van pooling access, that's something we can accommodate for. But I'm unfamiliar with maybe what the van pool subsidy pieces that you're talking about, and I'd love to pass this on to anyone else too that might be able to help answer it.
Yes, thank you. Oh, Tom, did you have something to add?
Yeah, so I guess I'd just say it goes back to the IRS requirements where they define it as a highway vehicle with at least 6 belts in addition to the drivers is what they actually define it as. And the requirement is that it be used only for work purposes, although there are some carve outs for a small amount of miles a month, and that it has to be more than 50% occupied, including the driver, qualify as a van pool. Now, if you look at that and you take that definition, it's something I've been arguing for quite a while. With the pandemic, it's really changed with the hybrid workforce that's coming through. We really need to take a harder look at that and take a harder look at what's allowable pre-tax for carpools too as well. That carpool reimbursement should be allowed too under the IRS pre-tax benefit.
Wonderful. And SANDAG does provide too a subsidy of up to $500 per month to offset the lease. So there is that for when you do qualify. If you have any information, please contact us and we can give you information about how to join or start a van pool program. Thanks, Tom. And that looks like that is all for questions. So thank you to all the panelists that have come in today to share all these wonderful information about commuter resources that our employers can use. Thank you everyone for attendance. I hope you will be able to go forward with some new ideas and how you can develop and enhance your commuter benefits program. Thank you all for joining us today. Have a wonderful day and take care.
Thanks, everyone.